Replace me with Kobe with Shaq. You don't think I could carry the Lakers to a championship?
You don't think I could have won 3 with T-Mac?
Today we're swapping Tracy McGrady and Kobe Bryant's careers to find out if T-Mac and Shaq can find their predicted success together, and if Kobe can win some championships in McGrady's place. This insane career swap is starting off in the 1996-97 season, where T-Mac would be heading to LA. And right off the bat, he would be planting the seeds to what's sure to be a very successful career, not only averaging 12 points as a rookie, but pairing up nicely with Shaquille O'Neal. And these two will not only be trying to win one championship together, but they'll also be attempting to replicate the 3 won by the Lakers in real life in the early 2000s. But while that in itself won't be easy, there's the added twist of Kobe being one of his competitors. Cause in the 1998 season, Kobe would be heading all the way up north to Toronto as a centerpiece for a team that's only a couple years into their existence. But while that would provide him the opportunity to put up any shot he liked, the team as a whole would be pretty bad, especially in comparison to the Lakers, who'd have a very successful regular and postseason, winning 62 games and making it to the conference finals. And even though in the end they'd wind up losing to the Rockets, for T-Mac specifically, it's farther than he ever made it in real life, so keep that in mind. But in Toronto, there would be some hope that they could win a title one day, as in 1999, Kobe would be teaming up with Vince Carter, and they'd be the bounciest duo in the league by a very wide margin, even winning enough games to finish as the number 4 seed. However, as exciting as the Raptors are, there's one major problem Kobe will be facing in the future that'll affect his ability to win a title with them. But before we get into specific details, the Lakers would be making it to the conference finals in comparison to the Raptors, who were eliminated first round. But facing them would be a very good Portland Trailblazers team that includes the likes of Rasheed Wallace and Arvydas Sabonis. And as a whole, they'd be slightly better than the Lakers, defeating them in 6. However, as bad as that may be, the Lakers are knocking on the door of the finals. But to conclude the season, Reggie Miller's Indiana Pacers would eventually be the ones to raise up the Larry O'Brien Trophy, and with that said, a new millennium is here. The 2000 season would tip off with Kobe and T-Mac having drastically different seasons. In the case of the Raptors, the previously mentioned problem they'd run into is that the Kobe and Vince duo would be running out of time. As just like T-Mac in real life, Kobe's only playing 3 years with the team, with his next stop being Orlando as soon as next season. Bryant would average 28 points in only his 3rd year, but with the Raptors being eliminated in the 2nd round, he and Vince wouldn't have time to build up experience together. And as a result, this dynamic duo is going to wind up as a what if. But for now, it's time to focus back on the Lakers, who would be making it to the finals for the first time, keeping history the same in that regard. But as we've already seen, this NBA universe is completely different from the one in real life. Not only have we already seen a brand new champion, but the Lakers will be facing a brand new opponent for the championship, with it now being the New York Knicks, making it perhaps the most watched and anticipated NBA Finals ever. And in the brightest of spotlights, T-Mac would average 26 over the first 2 games to help lead the Lakers to a 2-0 lead. But what would really decide this one would be the center matchup between Shaquille O'Neal and Patrick Ewing. And with the latter being 36 years of age compared to Shaq, who won MVP at 28, there would be no stopping the Lakers, taking Game 3 to go up 3-0, and eventually Game 4 in Madison Square Garden to finish off the finals with a sweep. At the moment, their previously mentioned theories are correct, and now it's just a matter of seeing if they can continue winning these titles. For now though, with 2000 done, the 2001 season would obviously follow suit, and as mentioned earlier, Kobe would be moving down to Orlando for a fresh start. And that would include both a scoring title, All-Star appearance, All-NBA selection, and most importantly, the MVP award, his first of such, with the Magic as a team following suit, finishing as a number 1 seed. But while that's the first time he's finished so high, the defending champs would be the first seed for the 3rd consecutive year, heading to the conference finals for the 4th. Once again, Shaq would run into Patrick Ewing, who is now a member of the Sonics, and at this point it may be elder abuse as he'd win that matchup again, sending he and T-Mac back to their 2nd straight finals, to face either Kobe's Magic or Reggie Miller's Pacers. But despite Reggie already winning a championship in this universe, it would be Kobe protecting home court with 2 wins to open the series. And back in Indy, these 2 guards would wind up splitting the next 2, which would give Kobe a 3-1 lead. But Kobe's path to the finals wouldn't be smooth by any means. Reggie would lead the Pacers to a couple wins, tying up the series 3-3. So even though Kobe would secure a blowout win in Game 7 at home, it wasn't easy for him as he heads on to LA. However, even though Kobe would be more than capable to go toe-for-toe with T-Mac, the issue would be Shaq, who's the unquestioned leader of the team. No matter who the Magic threw out the 5, he would be having a bad night, with Kobe now staring down a 3-2 deficit. And even though in Game 6, Kobe would have the advantage over T-Mac individually, there would be a 300-pound issue on the other end that the Magic can't account for. Into Shaq. Down low, left-handed layup, no good. Gets his own rebound and the dunk. Shaq taking over. T-Mac only has 12, Kobe with 26. And that wouldn't be the end of Shaq, as just a few possessions later, he'd be right back at it again. The pass down to Shaq again, 2 straight dunks. But despite all that, this game would still be close, and Kobe would have a chance to force Game 7, down by only 2 with less than 2 minutes remaining. Kick out back to Bryant, 5 seconds on the shot clock, driving left, pull up mid-range, he's gonna get the shooter's bounce. 141 remaining, 89-89, McGrady's gonna bring it up, guarded by Bryant. Driving, the pass down to Shaq. Orlando finally gets a stop. Kobe's gonna push in transition over to Armstrong. Slows it down, 16 seconds on the shot clock. Kobe calling for it on the left side. He goes to the corner. The spin move, the kick out to Kobe. 1:17 remaining, in and out dribble, going middle. It's blocked by Shaq at the rim. Fisher's gonna walk it up, LA playing at a slower pace. McGrady coming up off the left, Fox on the right. His three-pointer's good. The Lakers are up by 3. If they hold on, they're going back-to-back. Orlando calls a timeout. 51.1 left. Orlando down by 3. Armstrong calling for it. They don't get it to him. They throw it down to Kobe, but it's intercepted by T-Mac. A bad pass from Orlando's center. They kick it out to Fisher. Back over to McGrady. Shaq has Kobe on him. McGrady with the pump fake. LA's offense is stalled. 7 seconds left. They get it down to Shaq. The double team. McGrady, left-handed floater is in and one. And that would basically be the dagger. After several free throws, the Lakers would be going back-to-back, proving that last year was no fluke. And as good as Kobe was individually, there's a talent gap between these two teams that few can overcome. However, as good as the Lakers may be feeling right now, they would not be three-peating in 2002, as in the conference finals, they would be losing to Kevin Garnett's Minnesota Timberwolves. Very interestingly, they've also dipped down to the 3 seed, so that's something that'll have to be monitored going forward. However, in the case of Kobe, while his season would be better on paper going as far as the conference finals, he would wind up losing as well. Eventually, he will be going to Houston, pairing up with Yao Ming, who may be the sidekick he really needs. But for now, the Spurs would win the 2002 championship, setting Kobe and T-Mac up for the 2003 season. And in what's now his 3rd MVP campaign, Kobe would surpass his real-life scoring average at this time by a long shot, going from about 25 points per game to well over 30, and as a result, he'd be returning to the finals in June. However, T-Mac would have a fantastic individual season as well, averaging 27 points per game nightly, which is an impressive figure considering he shares the ball with Shaq. However, these two would run into a major issue in the Western Conference Finals, which would be nothing short of a disaster. They would be up against Chris Webber's Sacramento Kings, who'd win not 1, not 2 in LA, but 3 straight games heading back to Sacramento to open the series. And that would pretty much seal the deal there, as a few games later, they'd send the Lakers home. T-Mac and Shaq have seen a ton of success, and as far as the decade goes, they're the only ones with multiple championships. But they've been a little more on and off than the Lakers in real life. And as a result, the Kings would be playing Orlando in the finals. But Kobe would be having his best season yet, and as a 3-time league MVP would do, he would lead the Magic to 4 more wins to win his first title, their first ever in franchise history. This is a massive change from real life, as Kobe would also win his first finals MVP way ahead of schedule. And there's no doubt in this universe that he can win a title as a #1 option. A question that T-Mac will eventually have to answer for himself, as the 2004 season would be the last one he'd play out with Shaq. At the very least, it would be ending on a high note, as the two would be in the finals against New Jersey, where they'd win their 3rd title. But in the 2005 season, T-Mac would be all alone, as Shaq is now in Miami, and we'll check back on him in just a moment. Because in other news, Kobe would now be in Houston paired up with Yao Ming, and these two would be super successful in their first campaign together, finishing as the Western Conference's #2 seed. And as far as the postseason would go, if we look back at T-Mac, he'd be losing to the 3rd-seeded Denver Nuggets, led by Carmelo despite averaging career highs. And that ties right back to the Rockets, as if he had won, he'd be facing Kobe in the 2nd round. But instead it would be the Rockets duo versus Melo, where in the end, Houston would advance to the Western Conference Finals. However, that would be as far as this brand new duo would eventually go, as they'd be losing to one that's played with each other for longer, The Nash and Stoudemire Suns would defeat the Houston Rockets in 6 games, and eventually this team would win the title later on by defeating the Indiana Pacers. And that means we're moving on to 2006, which would play out much differently for T-Mac specifically, as he would average just barely under 36 points per game to win his first MVP, and the Lakers would be slightly better as a whole, going from the 6th to the 5th seed, even getting past the San Antonio Spurs in an upset in the first round. But in the second, T-Mac would run into Kobe and Yao, which would immediately show the gap between these two teams. As far as Kobe and McGrady, those two would be evenly matched. But the Kwame Brown-Yao Ming matchup would be very one-sided to say the least, leading to a 5-game Rockets win. As good as T-Mac is proving to be without Shaq, he's still going to need some help. For now though, after defeating the Golden State Warriors in the following round, the Rockets would head down to Miami for a finals against D-Wade and ironically Shaq. And after the first 4 games, both teams would protect their respective home courts, putting the series at a 2-2 tie. And that's very ironic, considering immediately after, Miami would win on the road, and the Rockets would do the same back in Miami, setting Kobe up for his first Game 7 in his 3 finals appearances. One that would come down to a shocking ending. 4-point lead for Houston can secure the championship with a stop. They pass it into Shaq at the 3-point line. He's gonna catch it off the dribble and go all the way. Cuts it down to 2. Of course, there is the free throw. He has to hit it, which is an adventure in itself. His free throw is going to get the friendly bounce, and all of a sudden it's down to 1. 19.9 seconds left. Yao Ming on the inbound. Throws a bad pass. It's picked up by Miami. The pass over to Wade. 14 seconds. Shot clock is turned off. Panic mode. 9 seconds left. Could be a crucial turnover. Shaq has it in the paint. He's guarded by Rafer Alston. He turns around. His hook shot. Shaq just had the craziest 10 seconds in NBA history. He could have been a hero. Why he went up with that soft hook shot, I have no idea. But barring some kind of actual miracle, the Houston Rockets are going to win the championship. And in what's maybe the most insane missed opportunity ever, the missed turnaround from Shaq would seal the Heat's fate, giving Kobe his 2nd championship and Yao his 1st. And for the first time since the 90s, the Houston Rockets are NBA champions. But time keeps moving on, and we'll have to see if it continues in 2007. As far as the Lakers go, they'd have a similar result as the past couple years. T-Mac would do his thing, finishing 3rd in the MVP race, but they'd get first rounded for the 2nd time in the past 3 seasons. And while the Larry O'Brien Trophy would be heading back to Texas, it wouldn't be going to Houston. Instead, it would be heading over to Dallas, with Dirk winning his 1st title. So with the decade coming closer and closer to an end, the 2008 season is here, which would be a very important one for T-Mac specifically, because he'd get his sidekick in Pau Gasol, a nightly double-double threat, which would directly lead the Lakers to the #1 seed, overtaking Kobe's Rockets. An achievement that would seem pretty good until they lose in the Western Conference Finals to the Denver Nuggets, and this just so happens to be the 2nd time. And while we're on the topic of this Denver team going to the finals, they would be up against the Boston Celtics, who have just acquired Kevin Garnett. And to finish off the season, they would be the ones to win the championship, which will be very important in just a few moments. Because in the 2009 Western Conference Finals, the Lakers and the Rockets would be meeting up for a chance to take down the defending champs. And this will be the last time that these two meet up as members of the same conference, as starting next year, Kobe will be moving out east. However, despite being up 2-1 and seemingly having the advantage, the Rockets would eventually lose this series in its back half, with the Lakers walking away in 7. And this would be the last game Kobe would play with Yao. His time with the team was very successful and memorable. However, he's now moving on to a couple new cities. But now that gives us the Lakers-Celtics matchup, and there are some key differences compared to when these two met in real life. On one end, it's 1 year later, and the Celtics are back in the finals for a 2nd straight year defending their title. And in terms of this specific meeting, both teams would be tied up after the first 4 games, each splitting one in the other's arena. However, in Game 5, it would appear that the Lakers would have the advantage, with T-Mac leading his team to a 3-2 series lead. Only for that optimism to be cut short immediately after, when the series would go back to Boston. As late in Game 6, T-Mac wouldn't be at his best in the clutch. Here we go, T-Mac, top of the key, Boston up by 2. He crosses over, going to the left. He throws a bad pass right into Kendrick Perkins' hands. Ray Allen on the fast break. He's going to dump it down. Perkins with the layup on the other end. Boston is now up by 4. T-Mac again from the top of the key. Los Angeles looking for a bucket. About to get the screen from Bynum. He's going to throw it right to Perkins again. So this one would be going to Game 7, and you can only wonder if this one will be as theatric as the previously seen Houston-Miami series. Will T-Mac be able to bounce back from his poor Game 6 finish? Or will the Celtics be making a 3-2 comeback and raising the Larry O'Brien on his home floor? Here we go, 125 left, NBA Finals Game 7, Lakers 110, Celtics 104, 125 left. Garnett finds Pierce wide open at the top of the key, and Boston is only down by 3 with 1:17 remaining. McGrady's gonna bring it up, guarded by Ray Allen. In and out dribble, spin move to the left. Good defense. He's gonna pass it over to Gasol, over to Lamar Odom with 9 seconds left. Bynum setting the screen on the right side. Odom, guarded by Pierce, 5 seconds on the shot clock. Pierce playing fantastic defense, forces Odom into a tough 3. It's rebounded by Rondo. 52 seconds left. Pierce with the crossover, steps it back. Driving right, left-handed layup. Cuts it down to 1, 2 straight buckets for the Truth. 42 seconds left. Still at the top of the key. Bynum's gonna set him a screen. He's gonna roll to the basket. This time the pass goes down, he dunks it with 2 hands. 2K just did the double timeout thing, where they call the timeout, inbound it, and call another one back-to-back. So there's 34.7 seconds left in the game, still 24 seconds on the shot clock. Rondo with the pass over to Pierce. He's gonna go to the right. The sidestep, step back is in. Paul Pierce with 3 straight buckets. The 15-footer goes down. Derek Fisher's gonna bring it up the court. The pass over to McGrady. 16 seconds left. Gets Rondo on the switch. Up against the 6'1 Rondo. 5 seconds left on the shot clock. He's gonna have to take a tough shot. He dishes it down to Gasol. His right-hand layup is gonna drop with 6.3 seconds left. Boston looking for the tie. Not much time left in the season. They pass it into Pierce. He's gonna catch and fire from the corner over Odom. And we're all tied up. Paul Pierce has just made 4 straight buckets to potentially force overtime. Still plenty left on the clock for the Lakers, though, to walk away with the win. They pass it into McGrady. Pump fake. Driving into the paint. Pierce with the block. Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen almost hits the full court. So with that collapse, the Lakers' championship celebration is now in jeopardy, and overtime wouldn't be much better as they wouldn't pull away from the Celtics, who would keep it close again, leading to another shocking finish. The Lakers are up by 1, 46.8 left on the clock. Kendrick Perkins on the inbound. Paul Pierce coming off the screen on the right side. He gets it at the free throw line. Driving left into Odom's chest. Pau Gasol with the rebound. The Lakers with a chance to extend the lead. They pass it over to McGrady. He bobbles it, but secures it. 34 seconds left. Pau Gasol going to the right corner. Bynum's about to set the screen. McGrady's gonna pull up from 3. It's rebounded by Garnett. The Lakers playing for a stop for the championship. Rondo, guarded by Fisher, gets the screen from Garnett. He's gonna drive 2 feet in the paint, kicks it out to Perkins. They're running a play for Ray Allen. He's gonna shoot a 3, couple feet behind the line. It's rebounded by Fisher. Well, not a couple feet behind the line, but a little bit behind it. Either way, Derek Fisher first free throws in, and his second to make it a 3-point game with 9.8 seconds left is gonna bounce off, fight for the rebound, picked up by Perkins. 6 seconds left. Rondo pushing it. 3 seconds. They throw it over to Ray. He's gonna dunk it, and the Lakers blow a golden opportunity to end this one. Lakers gonna have to take a tough shot here. Will it be McGrady? He's running over to the corner. They pass it into Fisher from 40 feet. And Game 7 of the finals would be going into a second overtime. Another back and forth, another close game, and the uncertainty of the championship still hanging in the balance. McGrady, 128 left, Bynum with another screen. He's gonna drive close to the baseline, step back, about 10-footer. It's gonna roll off the rim. The Lakers only up by 3 with 1:15 remaining. Paul Pierce has been the hero for the Celtics, has the ball in his hands. He passed it over to Rondo. He passed it over to Ray Allen in the corner. Good defense by McGrady. Boston dwindling down into the shot clock. Rondo's gonna get the screen from Garnett. He's gonna launch a tough fading 3, and it's gonna roll in. Rondo, not known for shooting, has hit a huge shot, keeping the Celtics in it. 50 seconds left. The Lakers keep going to the pick and roll, and McGrady turns it over. Rondo's gonna push it on the break. He's gonna drive, hop step, layup, left hand, no good. Perkins with the putback. He misses that one point blank. 33 seconds left, tie game. McGrady, hesitation, pull up jumper from the elbow. Los Angeles is up by 2. A little bit of chaos, but McGrady calms the Lakers down and gives them the lead, 28.3. Classic 2K double timeout. Why use one timeout when you can use two on the same possession? Either way, 28.3 left. About 4 seconds between the shot clock and the game clock. They can throw it into the backcourt. Pierce, guarded by Odom. Hesitation. Good defense. He's going to go Nash behind the basket. He's going to throw a crazy bounce pass, and the Celtics take the lead. Paul Pierce is putting up the most insane jump-in performance on the channel's history. That was a crazy pass. Out of all the heroics that he's pulled off in this game, the Celtics are a stop away from the championship. 9 seconds left. McGrady is going to drive right. He's going to take a jumper. No, he doesn't. He dumps it down to Bynum, bobbles the pass. Layup is up and in, 0.2 seconds, and that's going to do it. And finally, we have an answer as to who's this year's champion. For the first time post-Shaq, it would be Tracy McGrady winning his 4th title, as well as securing his first Finals MVP, now passing his toughest challenge. One that many greats in the past have struggled to accomplish. But can he win one more to tie up Kobe's real-life total? Only time will tell, but while we're on the topic of Kobe, he would be the newest member of the New York Knicks starting off in the 2010 season. But his trip to the Big Apple would have some pros and cons. His numbers would go up, but the team as a whole would be pretty bad, finishing as an 8th-seeded first-round exit. And as good as New York may be to him, he'll be leaving for another team as soon as next year. However, in contrast, T-Mac is staying as a Laker until 2016, and for the 2011 season, he'd be a first-round exit as well, with the Lakers dropping down to the 4th seed, eventually closing out the year with a San Antonio Spurs championship over the Orlando Magic. And that's interesting, as the power would be shifting farther and farther away from the Lakers as time would go on. In the 2011 season, T-Mac's stats would continue to go down, while in comparison, Kobe's numbers would stay relatively stable, still averaging well into the high 20s for the 2011 season as a member of the Detroit Pistons. And that would be encouraging, as if we fast forward to the 2012 season, he would be moving on to the Atlanta Hawks, making it Teague and Kobe time. And with the Hawks already being good before his arrival, with the addition of Kobe, they would be the number 3 seed in the Eastern Conference, even upsetting LeBron James's Heat, advancing to the NBA Finals, where in the face of Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden, Kobe would be leading the Hawks to their first title in decades and his 3rd Finals MVP. And he would continue to steal the show. In 2013, T-Mac's numbers would continue its nosedive, while Kobe, after a brief stint in China, would be signing on with the San Antonio Spurs for the postseason. And on this team, which already included Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and Kawhi Leonard, they would be walking to the championship, sweeping LeBron's Heat in the finals. And this would actually be it for Kobe's career, as this would be when T-Mac retired in real life, giving Kobe a finals record of 4-1 with 4 Finals MVPs. But T-Mac's trip in Kobe's place was also very successful, even though he would be regressing in 2014, 2015, and eventually retiring in 2016. He would also have 4 championships and 0 finals losses. But if we look at the full picture, we can see that Kobe made the most gains in T-Mac's place, while McGrady won 1 less championship than Kobe in real life. But now that that's done, there's another question. Who's the greatest of all time, LeBron James or Michael Jordan? If these two switched, who would do better? Click right here to find out.